Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated and confusing, but there's a better way to buy with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event. Whether you're searching for a last-minute deal, planning a night out, or need to find the perfect gift, SeatGeek helps you find the best seats at the best prices, fully guaranteed. There's nothing quite like seeing your favorite team or musician in person, and SeatGeek will get you closer to the action for a great value. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone. It's by far the easiest way I've found to shop for tickets. I can be anywhere, and just a few taps, I can instantly find seats. I actually just used SeatGeek to buy tickets for my friends to the Broncos game while I was back on the East Coast. SeatGeek is designed to make your ticket buying experience easier than ever. And to get you the most bang for your buck, SeatGeek grades every ticket based on value to help you immediately identify the best seats that fit your budget. Plus, every purchase is fully guaranteed, so you can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. And best of all, my listeners get $20 off their first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app, enter the promo code Russillo today. That's promo code Russillo for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
The Ryen Russillo Show podcast.
When I think about what went down last night, it was very, very telling. The Lakers are an impressive team, even though the record isn't that good. And at one point, they were kind of milling around 500. But I find them impressive because there are young teams in the league that are young, and some of the guys aren't that good, and there's not really, how many of them are really in the rotation. And then there's a team like the Lakers where you go, maybe there's a chance that 2 or 3 of these players could be pretty good. Maybe it's just 2, maybe it ends up just being 1. But the Lakers are not an easy team to coach because there's about 7 or 8 guys that have not reached their NBA identity. So that means that probably 7 or 8 players on that team think they're all going to be all-stars because they're young kids. And because they're so young, they haven't accepted some of their shortcomings. And the reality is in the NBA, half of them are going to be really disappointed about their careers and maybe disappointed about their next contract. But right now, they're still kind of living in that delusional young phase that's always so fun. I mean, it's like an endorphin. You're like, man, I'm awesome. I'm young and I'm going to be great. I'm going to be an all-star. I'll probably be in the Hall of Fame. But it doesn't work out that way. But that team is loaded with a bunch of guys who are trying to figure out who they are. When you have a rebuilding team, it's really hard to have just a bunch of guys on rookie contracts because they're all freaking out. They haven't accepted their plight that, you know what, you're probably going to be a bench guy. You might even be in the G League a little bit. And that's okay. You know what I mean? It's great to be confident. It's great to have expectations for yourself. But the Lakers are that group, and Luke Walton still has them playing really good defense. And he still has them in a lot of games. And, look, it comes to winning time. The veteran team, unless they completely go down their leg, they're going to pull away from you and win the game. That's exactly what happened last night with the Cavs and Lakers. Exactly what happened. But afterwards, everybody was freaking out because LeBron pulled the old shirt over the mouth and started talking to Lonzo, and then Lonzo didn't know, like, hey, am I supposed to do it too so nobody can see what I'm saying? And they start doing that, and it's kind of like the pitcher at the mound deal with the hand over, the glove over, or the guy that has the call sheet on the sideline where he's doing it in front of his face, and everyone wants to know what the hell they talked about. LeBron was asked about it.
The things that you said about Lonzo, is that why it was so important for you to have that post-game chat with him after the game?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Were you mentoring him or giving him any advice?
None of y'all business.
Thanks, LeBron. Thanks, everybody.
None of y'all business.
None of y'all business. None. Okay. Here's the deal. I've seen all sorts of people talking about this today. I've seen graphics. This is a first take freak out, right? Because they already have a Lakers poll up. LeBron on the Lakers. Can they beat the Warriors? 39% of you say yes. I was interested. I was clicking on all this stuff. But we know what he was doing. There's this thing that happens with older players that are the great ones, the great players in their sport. And Kobe did this a little bit too, where he felt the need to just all of a sudden be an old guy. He just wanted to be old. He wanted to start going, well, these knees, we'll see if they work. I got to make sure I talk to this guy. And then everybody starts kind of laughing at your jokes and that whole deal. Like all of a sudden you are the old guy at the barbershop and you almost like want to be that guy. And I'm not saying LeBron is there yet because he's still just too awesome of a player, but he feels the need. He almost feels it's part of his responsibility as the best player in the league, the best player in the world, to go up and talk to these dudes. And it could have been a bunch of different things. It probably wasn't about the Jedi movie, but, hey, man, keep doing your thing. Don't worry about all the haters. Everybody's got something to say. Everybody, look, man, don't worry. You keep doing your thing. Be aggressive. Rebounds, assists. Remember when we used to have that thing with Jordan when he was talking to like a very young Melo, because Melo was the man for the Jordan brand? And Jordan be sitting there, I tell him all the time, rebounds, assists. You can get points, but rebounds, assists. Like, that's all really this stuff was. Do you honestly think that this means, hey, man, I'm probably going to sign with the Lakers, and I wanted to wait until after the game was over tonight to see how you looked, and I like your rotations, and, maybe you guys move on from Randall and get Clarkson out of there. I'm in. Of course not. And if it was going to be so private and it was so important, he probably wouldn't have done it in front of 18,000 people inside of an arena. It was a moment where James allows himself to look, because I don't think that it's malicious. I don't think he's misleading here, but he wants us to see him showing a younger dude, hey, you know what? Proud of you. Keep doing your thing. Boom, boom, boom. And LeBron likes this stuff. LeBron, again, asked more about Lonzo and the whole deal.
I don't see the reaction because I don't get involved in it.
You see it all, dude. You see it all.
Reaction. I do it because he's said over and over since he was growing up and who he modeled his game after, and who was his favorite player, and it was me, and I was humbled by that. So me wishing him a happy birthday was kind of the salute back to him. I see all the, the stupid noise that happens, and I can't buy a place in LA. I can't live in LA. It's funny noise, and but I don't get involved in it because when I post things, I don't look at comments. I'm so far removed of the white noise and the noise that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, all right, but that's another thing that you do too when you're famous. You're like, oh, I never pay attention to that white noise. It doesn't matter. He checks out all that stuff too. Who is he kidding? Because he talks about his use or non-use of social media when he goes 0 dark 23:30 or 0 dark 30:23. I always get confused on that. Russillo Show, it's ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. You can save hundreds on your car, business, or recreational vehicle insurance from a local independent agent. Go to Progressive.com today. Now that's Progressive. The point of this whole thing is that it's a general point. Him talking to Lonzo is nothing more than what I've already explained it to you as. Okay? It doesn't mean he's now more likely to go to the Lakers. And I actually still think, as we talked with Woj yesterday, where Woj was like, you actually think his dad's a positive? If you did a pro-con list on LeBron going to the Lakers, he'd go, yeah, LeVar mouthing off all the time. Pro. No, that's not how that would work. But there are times where we use evidence of someone saying something about somebody else as a reason to bolster our argument. Kaepernick should have a job in the NFL. Okay? I believe that. I thought he would be with the team at some point. That's not what worked out. He should have a job. Tom Brady was asked about it with our great, great partners, so supportive, EEI up in Boston, where he was asked about Kaepernick. And what did you think Brady was going to say?
Colin Kaepernick, do you think he can play again in the NFL?
I sure hope so. I've always watched him and admired him, the way that he's played. He, was a great young quarterback. He came to our stadium and beat us and took his team to the Super Bowl in 2012. He accomplished a lot in the pros as a player, and he's certainly qualified, and I hope he gets a shot.
I read an article about Kaepernick not having a job that cited that Brady quote as saying, look at Brady, he's the GOAT, and even he thinks Kaepernick should have a job. What did you think Brady was going to say? Romo was asked about Dak Prescott replacing him.
I'm not going to allow this situation to negatively affect Dak or this football team by becoming a constant distraction. I think Dak knows that I have his back, and I think I know that he has mine. Ultimately, it's about the team. It's what we've preached our entire lives.
I can't believe this guy benched. I can't believe I got benched for this guy. Okay, Romo very clearly is saying so, but you would never go like, hey, even Romo thinks that he should have been benched for Dak. So the general point that I'm trying to make here is that there are all these examples of little things that we try to piece all of this information out of. And for the most part, it's the most obvious stuff. Clearly, LeBron in that moment against the guy we've talked about all of the time was going to take that moment to have the cameras on him, showing him mentoring a young rookie in Lonzo Ball who has to deal with a ton of stuff. And the conversation was irrelevant. It was predictable. And it doesn't mean anything about LeBron's future, much like whenever you listen to some of these other guys talk about things, they say the obvious thing. They say the easiest answer, the least offensive answer, and it doesn't actually strengthen your argument, especially if you think now this means LeBron's packing up and moving out west.
The Ryen Russillo Show. He was nominated for 38 Grammy Awards and had 5 Billboard #1 hits. And he was a heralded 5'2", sixth man in Minnesota high school hoops.
He's a short guy, but he actually had a really good jump shot.
But you probably didn't know he spent $95,000 a month renting an NBA player's house in Bel Air and ruined it.
He took out all the furniture, including the carpets, and put them in storage. And he redecorated the house with his stuff. Carpets, beds, furniture, massage tables, disco balls, the whole nine.
It's The Sit Down with former NBA All-Star Carlos Boozer on being Prince's landlord.
So Prince wants to rent your house, Boozer. Tell me about the start of that. Like, I know you didn't really want to rent it. How did this whole thing start off?
Yeah, I just bought my house, my first house in LA. It was massive, like 18,000 square feet in Bel Air and Beverly Hills and Bel Air. And I get a call from my real estate agent, and she's like, "Hey, I know you're going to Utah for the season. I'm getting a lot of calls about renting your house." And I was like, "Nah, I haven't even lived there. I haven't spent one night there. I'm not renting my house out." So she goes, "Okay." About a month goes by, and she gets a phone call from a very persistent person. And goes, "Hey, my client has been to this house before when it was with the previous owner. He loves this house and he wants to rent it out for a year for $95,000 a month." So my realtor calls me. She can't not present this offer to me. And I said, $95,000 a month? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be in Utah for about 7-8 months. Playoffs. Maybe we do well and make it to the finals or whatever. Yeah, we can rent it out, no problem, right? It ends up being Prince. And obviously, heard plenty of music from him. My parents were huge fans. I became a fan as I got older. I watched Purple Rain and a couple of movies. So I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna fly out there for the signing. So I fly out to LA. It's a short flight from Utah. Coming to the house, and he's a huge basketball fan, as you guys probably already know. Huge basketball fan. Followed my career a little bit, and thought we had a decent team in Utah. And it was the house had a basketball court on the roof. And so we went up there and we shot for like half an hour. And he's a short guy, but he actually had a really good jump shot.
So wait a minute, he's coming to like check out the house and you want to meet him because he's renting your house and you guys are shooting around.
Yeah, like obviously I'm showing him the house. He already seen it before because the previous owner was like a part owner of Interscope Records or something like that.
Okay.
So he had been there before for some gatherings, and so he goes like, "Can we go up to the court?" And I go, "Yeah." So he goes upstairs, and he starts dribbling the ball around. He starts shooting a little bit. We're shooting the breeze, talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe, like is Kobe whatever because of Michael Jordan, blah blah blah, because he's a crazy Jordan fan, but he also respected Kobe a great deal, and he rents the crib out. Let me get to the juicy part of the story. So that year, I had torn my hamstring up pretty bad. Like I tore it like 2 or 3 times in a row over like a 2 or 3 month period. And so one of the best physical therapists named Judy Cito, who lives out in L.A. So I'm coming to L.A. to go see Judy Cito to work on my hamstring and see if I can get right so I can get ready for the playoffs or what have you. And I'm calling Prince up, but he's not picking up his phone. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to stop by the house. If you need anything, let me know, blah, blah, blah." Don't hear from him. I come up to the house, and I don't recognize the gate. The gate was like a 12-foot gate. It had 2 gold lions on it when I bought the house. When I got there, there was this like symbol, which I wasn't very familiar with. There was a symbol on the gate. And I'm like, "Did I come to the right address?" Like, this is my house, right? So I'm driving up and down the street like, where's my house at? And so I realized this is the house, and my gate has been changed. So I put the code in, the code works. I go in the driveway, and as I'm driving up the driveway, everything is painted. It was like a creamy kind of Italian cream kind of color. The whole outdoor was painted purple. And I'm like, what? I'm getting like, as I'm driving up the driveway, I'm getting more and more like upset. So I get to the stair. I had a really like gigantic staircase, like leading up to the front doors. And there's this huge purple rug that goes over this Italian marble floors. And it's his symbol, which I didn't know was his symbol until that day. I just known him as Prince, and now I realize that he's a symbol now.
Yeah, he changed his name to a symbol, right?
I had no idea any of that. So, but I learned that day. and the whole rug I go inside the house, He rips out all the carpet. The whole carpet is black carpet. Everything in the house is purple. He has a purple bed. He has purple sheets. He took my couches out. The couches were black and purple. He changed one room. There was 10 bedrooms in the house. He changed one room into a salon, like a hair salon.
Like a full-time hair salon.
Full-time hair salon, like what you would see, your wife or your girlfriend go to. Absolutely. And
how mad are you?
I was furious because it's something that we never talked about. So I'm really upset. Like, what happened to my house? My house got demolished. You can imagine, like, you go into your crib just to, stop by and see anything, maybe pick up some stuff or whatever. And it's literally not your crib anymore. So I'm walking around. We're going to have a debate about this, I'm sure, in a second. But I'm walking around the house, and there's more changes. So I had an awesome weight room. We turned the weight room into a nightclub with a disco ball, which actually I thought was pretty cool, to be honest. I never saw that before in the house, so I thought it was pretty awesome. But, he just basically changed the whole house. He basically what he did was he stored all my stuff, furniture, everything, put it in storage, and he brought all of his stuff into the house. So let me just tell you how wealthy Prince was. May he rest in peace. He rented my house out for almost $1 million for the year. He took out I had a 18,000 square foot home that was fully furnished, 10 bedrooms, a guest house, the whole nine, 2 or 3 living rooms. He took out all the furniture, including the carpets, by the way, and put them in storage. And he redecorated the house with his stuff. Carpets, beds, furniture, massage tables, disco balls, the whole nine, and puts it in storage. So I'm calling him like P. I said, Prince, listen, man, like, I'm really upset. Like, I'm bothered. I can't get a hold of you. Like,
you're leaving him messages?
I'm leaving a message on the phone that I had for him. I'm sure he had multiple phones or whatever. But I come to find out, I'm getting ready to sue him because I can't get a hold of him. This guy's like turned my house into something else that I wasn't comfortable with, and I'm getting ready to sue him. And I get a phone call from some other number, and it's him. And he's like, "Hey," he goes, "Hey, Booze, I'm in Asia touring." And I didn't even know this. I'm in Asia touring, and the album, he had an album called 3121, and he rented my house out to get inspiration. So he filmed did the whole, if you look at the CD cover for that 3121 album, it's my house. The whole thing is my house. Anyway, he was on tour in Japan. He calls me. He goes, "Hey, I got your message, man. I've been traveling and doing my thing." And he goes, "Don't worry. The house will be exactly how it was before I moved in when you get the keys back at the end of my lease." He goes, I'm gonna wire you $500,000, keep it in your account, and then when you come check on the property after I move out, you can wire me the money back just to make you feel better. And I'm like, okay, I trust his word. He's Prince.
What did he sound like on the phone? Was he funny? Was he like soft spoken?
He was well in this moment, because this is the only conversation we had over the phone. He was very calm. Like, he was like, "Look, don't worry. I know the house doesn't look like, your house, but he wanted the house to feel like it was his. And so when his guests came over, they felt like it was his house. And I get that, $95,000 a month. I mean, really, to be able to do whatever you want to the house. But also, as the owner of the property, you should at least give me a heads up that you're going to make let me know you're going to make some changes to the crib." But he was very calm, and he was he was having a good time. I mean, I heard a lot of people around him. He might have called me from after party or something. But long story short is, when he moved out, it was like he was never there. Everything, the theater room was back in place, the weight room was back in place. There was no massage tables. I could have kept the massage tables. There was no hair salon. All my carpet was back in. It was like he was never there. Like, if I had never hurt my hamstring, I would never have seen it that he had changed everything into purple. So may he rest in peace. But he was great, man. I caught up with him a couple of times later in New York at a couple of restaurants. The last time I saw him was at All-Star Weekend in New York a couple of years ago. He had performed at the Jordan party. It was like the 30-year anniversary for MJ, or maybe longer than that, 30-year anniversary for MJ, and he performed at that party. So,
wow, it all worked out.
He was a good dude, man.
Yeah,
it all worked out. He was a good dude. Loved basketball. And once upon a time, he rented my house.
That's amazing. I'm going to look at that CD now. I'm going to check that out. Hey, Booze, I really appreciate it, man. That's a great story, and I'm glad we could share it with everybody.
Absolutely. My pleasure, man. Anytime.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The Ryen Russillo Show.
Vilma's here. First thing he does, he goes, "What did you do last week? What did you do? Where are we at record-wise?" And I went 4-1, so we're close. We're close on this deal, but we're going to have to have another perfect week again.
We're not really You're 4 under 500.
And you're 500.
I'm 1 up.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so that's what I said. I just have to have another great week, and you have a bad one, and then it's going to turn like that.
It's not possible.
I'm a closer.
No, what I would do is just copy your pick, so there's no way I can lose.
But then I'll wait until you leave, and then I'll go back. I'll come back and change him on you. So that means 2 hours of Jonathan Vilma already giving me a hard time.
Yes.
We got Vince Wilfork calling into the show. We have Jalen Rose calling into the show. We have Damien Woody in studio, so you and him can do, like, instead of the linebacker, what were you guys doing? It like backer chapter? Or what were you guys calling it? You and Bruce?
Backer chapter. I mean, you just made it sound so cheesy and corny.
Yeah, man. But I think you said it, man. So that's not my fault.
I did not say backer chapter. I did not.
What did you and Bruce?
I don't know what we called it. It was good.
You said it something like it was back or something.
Back or something. I don't know what we called it. But Woody, I saw him Wednesday wearing an ugly Boston College sweater. So we're definitely going to have to talk about that. I know he's a Boston College guy, but ew. God.
Yeah, don't you? Come on. Can't you guys let anything rest down in Miami?
No.
Like he's wearing a BC sweatshirt.
No.
He feels good about his Eagles.
No, listen. You know what always bothers me?
Obviously a lot.
Well, aside from everything. The Boston College thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
Anytime you pull up anything good about Boston College, anybody ever mentions anything good about Boston College, what do they say? You already know what I'm going to say. What do they talk about?
Probably the lacrosse team.
Yeah,
no,
right.
Flutie to Phelan.
Exactly. And who was that on? Miami. And
that's right.
It's like, yeah, stop it. It's like 32 years old, by the way. Almost. It got killed by Clemson. Almost.
Wait, I mean, are you serious? We made like 3 movies about you guys. Like the 30 for 30 series could be brought to you by the U. You guys are on nonstop again. Like every time I turn my TV back on, I see you guys. I'm so sick of all of you dudes.
Why are you sick of us?
Because it's always the same stuff. Like if you guys can brag about all the crap that you did and all the stuff that was in the gray areas and that you were the outlaws and that you were thugs, and then as soon as anybody else says that you were a thug, then we're all jerks and we're racist and we don't get it. Like you guys are so
wait a minute.
Like you don't care if you embrace all of it. I'm hot. No, I'm ready to go, Vilma. You come in here, you start pushing me around. No way. I'm pushing Russillo.
Look at this. Where did this come from, Ryan?
Because I saw you last night in the You Invented Swagger t-shirt with the big chain on, talking about one of your teammates accused the state of Florida of tearing down the Orange Bowl to erase the memory of Hurricane football.
That could possibly be true.
Or to increase revenues in a new stadium.
That could possibly be true.
I don't even know what we were starting the show with today.
I don't know. Cerruti, what did I get into? Like, what's going on?
Is this months of pent-up aggression
Clearly,
against Vilma?
I was just annoyed that anytime you think of Boston College and football, you hear of the Flutie Hail Mary, and then Miami's associated with that. That's where I was coming from.
I think historically, you guys are up on BC. I'm not a researcher by trade, but I think you got him.
I would just like that they would let that highlight die. That's all. That's it. Just let that highlight die. You have so many other
highlights.
That's fine. Just let that one die. 32 years. Just let it die. Let it go. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's just, come on, man. What else is BC going to run? Beer Brom highlights?
Lacrosse.
They're
really good at lacrosse.
They did beat UNC that year. I don't know if Serge Zwicker was on that team. It may have been Montross.
See?
All right. I promise we won't do any Flutie stuff today on the show.
We weren't going to do anything regardless.
I'm sorry about my U rant.
It's okay. You know what? I like it. You are not the first to go on a U rant in front of me. And vent your displaced anger. That's all. That's all it really is.
No, it's not displaced. It's just
it's very displaced.
I feel like the movies about the U, although very good, and I like
and
most
very true
and very true.
Okay.
It's kind of one of those deals where it's like you can't do that to our pledges. Only we can do that to our pledges.
You can do it. We enjoyed it.
I just did it. Le Batard and I have argued about it a lot in the past. So that's all. That's all. I think we can move past it. Is there anything you would like to do, Vilma? Do you have notes?
I do have notes.
I saw you just broke out.
Yeah, you saw me break out my notes.
We've got like 2 minutes here in the segment. We do little hoops.
I'm just saying, I actually do work and research. You know,
what are Vilma's notes for Friday's show?
I do work. I do research. I do watch film and stuff. So, you know, when people are like, oh, what is this guy talking about? I actually know what I'm talking about. No, I know you do.
You asked a question at the talent meeting on Wednesday. That surprised a bunch of us.
Yeah. And I got flack from Ryan Clark because he was like, you can't ask questions at the talent meeting. That's like an assembly. You can't ask questions. I was like, dude, this is serious stuff. I need to know. Okay, for those that don't understand, on Wednesday, every single talent, everybody that talks on the air, all 500 of us,
seriously, like 500 people, we were told numerous times the greatest collection of talent ever, and we're not even talking about the Warriors. And it was impressive. It was kind of fun. I actually thought they did a great job with it. But Vilma, like if there were odds on who was going to ask a question to like look good in front of the company,
I was not trying to look good. not at all. You know where it stemmed from?
We turned around and we're like, wait a minute, is that Vilma asking the first question in an assembly of 5? So Ryan Clark told you not to ask the question after you did it.
After I did it, he said I should not have done that. I 100% disagree with him, and we got into a debate about that because I said, well, remember the topics, and one of the topics was politics, and not to bring politics into ESPN.
Yeah, we're trying.
We're trying not to, right? And the interesting thing is that I agree with it because I was like, you know what? When I was a kid and I was younger, teenager, I watched ESPN to watch sports and get away from whatever else is going on outside the world. You had a bad day, whatever's going on, right?
Yeah, like Dukakis. Right.
Right. So then, of course, we had some political movements and things transpire. Somebody became president. And then, you know, he started bringing, I'm just saying, he started bringing sports and politics together.
So you had actually a great question. It was a great question.
Yeah. So my question was, if a high political figure starts to bring sports into politics and then forces us to respond or defend ourselves, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. What's up now?
How should we proceed?
And guess what?
They said we can go. It's, what do you say? It's fair game after that point.
Once they brought it up, whoever that could be.
Yeah. Skipper said it is fair game. And I said, good. So, because I would hate to be, I'm not even one of the people on, you know, like a Stuart Scott or, you know, I'm not one of those guys, but I would hate to be, you know, let's just say it's, I don't know, give me any one of the shows on ESPN. We'll just take First Take.
All right. Okay, First Take, right.
So First Take, I would hate to be on First Take and Donald Trump says something related to sports or whatever it is, obviously something controversial, and then you're not allowed to talk about it, or you're not allowed to discuss it, or you're not allowed to at least combat it.
Yeah, all right. No, the question made a lot of sense. I felt like after that, I was like, man, Vilma looked really smart with that one. And then you were wondering, would somebody else raise their hand and go like, how are the day-to-day operations day-to-day, you know? and they would go, we just spent 2 hours on that.
The Ryen Russillo Show.
Joining us now, a man that knows my co-host pretty well here. We've been lucky enough to talk to Vince Wilfork a bunch of times, but I don't know. I almost want to get out of the way as the two you guys get out of here.
Vince, what's up, man?
What's going on, boss?
I don't know. I don't know if you're watching right now. Do you see those two ribs hats that we put for you? We got the U helmet, and we got the ribs hats for you. So tell us a little bit about the ribs hat. You know I'm always messing with you, too, about it when I see your commercials.
Man, you know, everybody knows. So I just, back, last year, I hooked up with Kingsford. They reached out to me, and we just did a little something. And I'm good to say that, you know, my relationship with Kingsford is pretty good, you know, and really, you know how I roll when I cook, too. Yes, baby. So it was just something fun that we put together, knowing that I like the barbecue. And basically,
no, but see, you're trying to downplay it. So Vince says he likes barbecue, Vince gets excited when you talk about like some good barbecue. Vince gets excited, and he's. I'm not gonna make fun of you. I'm not gonna do your mannerisms, but I'm telling you, him and barbecue, him and food. If it's good food, you'll know. You'll know it's some good food.
Absolutely.
Look, I mean, I've seen the Big Y ads. I'm up here in New England, so I've seen him with Vince for a while. Who was Vince? Who's a better basketball player, you or Vilma?
Me. Vilma just played football, man.
Vince, are you serious right now? Are you? We used to have pickup games. Did you not see my explosion on the court in the pickup games?
That don't have anything to do with nothing. Have you seen my explosion on the court on part time?
Listen, I used to beat Vince in basketball, pool. I know you remember that. You used to kill him in pool. I did not.
You lying on your radio show to make yourself sound pretty good. So I'm gonna let you roll with it. I'm gonna let you roll because I love you, brother.
Oh man.
So is this like a big brother, little brother thing? Because you guys are the same class.
No. Brother. We love each other like a brother thing. But man, Vince, I will say though, so in all honesty, Vince was, if not the best tackle, one of the best tackles I played with. And this was all, I'm talking dating back to college. I saw Vince as serious as a heart attack. I saw Vince on a 3rd and short one time, our senior year. He may not remember this. He literally, at this 3rd and short, jumped over the lineman at the snap. He was in a 4-point stance, jumped over the lineman, and made the tackle to stop the running back for a 1-yard gain on a 3rd and short. I swear to God, I looked down, I was like, wow. It was him, Sean Taylor, and DJ Williams were probably the 3 most freakish athletes I had seen. Andre Johnson too, but on defensive side, those 3 were probably the most freakish athletes I had ever seen.
But the thing with us, John, is, and I tell people all the time how different University of Miami is, because we always competed at the highest level with one another. It wasn't. So when we played against people, it was like a practice for us because we saw the best of the best in practice. And, we always pushed each other. I remember we used to get up in 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning just to work out and get it done. But we were so dedicated to being the best, and some of my best teammates come from college. I mean, hands down, being around some of the best, being around my brothers, being around a chance to grow with one another, man. Those were the best times of my football career, man, being in college with a bunch of you guys. And even to this day, we remain close friends like we're brothers, no matter where we go and who we play against or who we play with. We always brothers, man. And I cherish those memories. And I talk to a lot of people that want to know about, what we did in college and, how we did it and stuff. And I say, you can never take away the fact of what we had and what we did in college and to make us the best, man. And we, it just came down to each one of us is being dedicated to each other and to the game and being passionate about what we did and love. And we pushed one another. So that's why we were good. And that's why it wasn't surprising to see that we had successful NFL careers, because we was taught the right way. We had that competitive edge over everyone that we did not want to be defeated. So if you look at, NFL now and back in the days, you would see some of the baddest players that ever played the game was Hurricanes, and the longevity in what we did because we was passionate about it, man. So that's something that I'm always going to, remember and cherish and tell stories, because those times I love. Those were times there where we worked out and we pushed each other and we was pissed off at each other. We fought. We did everything that brothers do. But at the end of the day, it was one cause, is to win. And we did a lot of that.
We're talking to Vince Wilfork here, the Russillo Show with Jonathan Vilma. And I'm just going back to that being competitive, because Vince, you're never going to remember this. Maybe I brought this up once before, but when you were drafted in 04 and you went 21st, I was the first person to interview you. I was actually in Foxborough at the time doing a draft show on that day. And really, if people, you'll remember this, but if people remember how the draft worked out, how'd you come out? Like, people thought it was weird that you even went 21st, and you were the 6th pick in the first round. So of the 6 of the top 21 picks were Canes. And so, Sean went 5th, Kellen went,
6.
Right, and then
I went 12.
You went 12th. DJ went 17th. Vernon Carey went. How mad were you that all these dudes were going ahead of you when if you had come out a year before? Like you were supposed to go ahead of all those guys.
He was pissed.
I was pissed.
He was pissed.
I remember, being sitting there and seeing all my buddies getting picked, and some of them actually came to my draft day party. And I remember talking with DJ. DJ really didn't know what to say to me. They didn't know what to say to me. And they just saw my face how mad I was. And
I remember that.
I got picked by New England. And I remember talking to my defensive coordinator at the time, Randy Shannon. He said, don't be mad because you're going to be the first one to win the Super Bowl. So don't be mad. And I was like, man, I don't know. I ain't trying to hear that man's coach. Man, Bernie before me. I'm glad Bernie before me because I hated the dog.
Hey, I'm telling you, I remember. I
so wait a minute,
this.
DJ's at your draft party and he gets drafted at your party before you.
Yeah. So I'm pissed off.
Hey, how about this? I called Vince to congratulate him. So I called Vince. I'm like, Vince, man, congrats, man. I'm going to play you twice a year. He's like, man, what the hell? Oh, I should have been drafted. He's like, what the hell going on? I was like, all right, Vince, I'll talk to you.
It was one of those, I was pissed off, and after talking to Randy Shannon and after I won a Super Bowl, I was like, okay. Yeah,
you didn't have to bring that up. Everybody knew that you won the Super Bowl. You didn't have to bring that up. All right.
I was like, cool.
Hey,
it worked out for the best. I couldn't have one of the better careers that I had without, my roots basically growing up and loving the game, going to high school, playing in, my hometown, Santa Lucia's at the time. Now we have probably like 3 high schools, and then going to the University of Miami and play with all my buddies that just, like I said, we always took it to a whole other level. And then get drafted by New England and being coached by Bill Belichick, and it was just, my career couldn't win any better than it did. So I'm happy to be retired and live a good life now.
Hey, no doubt, Vince, and really appreciate the time. I got to tell you, for a kid just coming out of school, disappointed where you get drafted, you faked it great on the radio. We thought you were pumped. So you couldn't tell how disappointed you were when I interviewed you, 13 years ago?
Yeah, but I had to fake the phone, but I was pissed.
You did a great job.
All right, Big B, man. I appreciate you, man.
All love, brother.
The Ryen Russillo Show.
All right, this is going to be fun. We got Damien Woody. He came in early. He always stops by the Russillo Show early. That's why we love him so much. He's decked out. We got Vilma in studio, so Damien Woody and Vilma, and now Jalen Rose on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What is up, my man? How are you, Jalen?
What up, though? Thanks for having me on.
So you got to be ready. You got 2 guys with Super Bowl rings in here just wanting to fire NBA questions at you. So last night was fun.
I'm MLB, NFL.
Done. Okay.
That's what, all right, Jalen.
Whatever you want to do. Derek
That's that Detroit coming out.
Retire by doing the Yankees a favor, wherever you want to go.
Okay.
Right. Jalen, remember, 5 days a week bringing it. So if I look at last night's game and then everybody going, we all knew LeBron was going to just tell Lonzo just real stuff, basic, kind of information here. But then everybody runs with it and then be like, okay, that means he wants to end up out in L.A. You talk to a lot of people. I talk to some people around the league. Like, I'm still of the belief, or at least understanding, that we still don't really know what LeBron is going to do. So what is the most important thing? What is the kind of stuff that you hear that sways you about what kind of decision he could make after the playoffs this year?
So here's the thing about LeBron James. I'm noticing a guy who's the best player in the game, hasn't played arguably better at any point in his career, more efficient from 3, finishing at the hoop, averaging as many assists as ever, as many rebounds as ever. He's just planting seeds around the league. When he leaves Houston, he hugs up with Chris Paul, who's the godfather of his kids. Then we're going to speculate about Houston. When he plays against the Los Angeles Lakers, he puts his jersey up over his mouth. He tossed the Lonzo ball. LeBron leaves New York City. What does he do? IG post, King of New York. So I think what he's truly doing is keeping his options open. But in reality, I would not be surprised if he ultimately stays in Cleveland with all things equal.
Hey, Jay, listen,
I don't even care about the other team. I'm all about the Lake Show. I make no bones about it. I've repped the purple and gold. And here's my thing. When we talk about Lonzo Ball and how unselfish he is, as far as distributing the ball, he definitely needs to work on the jump shot. But my bigger question is, do the Lakers have the pieces to attract like 2 max contracts? Because I'm looking at it as, okay, this summer it's time to take it to that next level if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, I have some bad news for you and your purple and gold. They have the cachet and the history to attract basically any player. But the reality of it is, who's actually a realistic option? I don't see LeBron James going to play in Los Angeles in a rebuilding situation for a squad that has Kuzma and Brandon Ingram as the second and third best player. So you look across the landscape and say, who's going to be a free agent? Paul George has already acknowledged that he'd love to play in L.A. Boogie Cousins is going to be a free agent. Can you get him from New Orleans? Possibly. Now, if that is able to happen, then it's more legitimate. I don't necessarily see that taking place to the point where sacrifice winning. Because in this scenario, when you go to Los Angeles, people look at you now to be the savior. But the Golden State Warriors have 4 All-Stars. So if you're going to knock them off, if you're going to knock the Houston Rockets off, if you're going to compete with the greatness of the San Antonio Spurs, you're going to need multiple All-Stars. And I just don't see that level of collection of talent going to L.A. unless LeBron and CP3 and Paul George just all team up and say we're going to go play there. But I think that's a long shot.
Well, going back to LeBron, Jalen, why does he need to plant seeds? He is the best player in the NBA, clearly, one of the best players of all time. What is if he tells Cleveland at the end of the season, look, Cleveland, give me X or I'm going here? Why does he even need to take time to plant seeds throughout the league?
The reason why he does that is control. Really, I've talked about, if you look at the Eastern Conference, LeBron James, as he rose to dominance, either dismantled the competition, an older Celtics victory, an older Detroit Pistons squad that was really successful, or disabled other Hall of Famers like Dwayne Wade, wouldn't play with him, wouldn't play with Chris Bosh, and then other players that are going into the Hall of Fame that were in the East at the same time, like a Carmelo Anthony, wasn't able to build anything to create a rivalry with Amari Stoudemire, and obviously Paul George and Derrick Rose weren't able to do it either. So that's who LeBron is. On a night-to-night basis, not only does he get a chance to be the best player in the game, but don't underestimate Rich Paul, his really good friend, represents a ton of players around the league. So he also becomes big brother to Ben Simmons and Eric Bledsoe, and the list goes on and on of players that, whether they're represented by Clutch Sports or they come through the LeBron James Skills Academy. So he gets a chance to play big brother as well. So he gets a chance to touch all of the bases and control pretty much like a puppet master what's happening around the league.
We're talking with Jalen Rose, part of NBA Countdown. Again, that coverage tonight starts at 7 Eastern. Thunder, Sixers. That's part of our Sixers All Access Day on Today on ESPN. Since I have you 3 guys with me, again, Vilma, Woody, and Jalen Rose on the phone here. Jalen, you moved teams. Vilma, you bounced from the Jets. Damien, I remember your deal going to the Jets, but that was deciding to leave New England for Detroit at the time. Jalen, I'll start with you. I want you guys to just jump in. When did you know it was time? Like, for sometimes for you, Jalen, you just flat out traded, but like, when did you start thinking, okay, this means I need to move on to another franchise?
Well, in basketball, normally, if you're a popular player, regardless of your, I guess, salary, which means you have fans and people wearing your jersey, what they start to do is trash your name publicly and talk about things that people aren't necessarily able to quantify, like how's his attitude, how's his practice habits, how's he in the locker room, to justify moving you. So once you get moved, people like, that's why they moved him. It makes sense now. So in basketball, it kind of works that way because you don't necessarily trade player for player. Nowadays, you just trade salaries.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I remember when it was about time for me to move from the Jets, the stories came out that I don't fit the 3-4 defense, and you gotta move on from that. But I remember personally, it was time when the one day I woke up, had a good night's sleep, felt good, but I woke up and said, I don't want to go to work. That was the first time ever in my career, training camp, college, high school, the first time ever I woke up and said, I don't want to go to work. And that's when I knew. That's actually when I called my agent that day and said, it's not going to work. This can't be my career right here. So we got to do something. That was the first time.
Mine was all about the money. Mine was all about the bottom dollar. The year I left New England after the 2003 season, but before the season started, we tried to negotiate a contract. We just couldn't come to terms, and the policy was that we weren't going to negotiate during the season. So, fast forward, we go on and, we win the Super Bowl that year. I make the Pro Bowl. And I remember after the Super Bowl going into Coach Belichick's office, and Bill was in there along with the GM Scott Pioli, and they basically were like, man, we really want you back, but you're saying one thing, your agent's saying another thing. I'm thinking in my head, okay, I see what time it is. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we're going to let you test the market. Well, when you say test the market, literally, I threw up the deuce. I went into the locker room. And I grabbed a black trash bag. And I remember Willie McGinnis like, bro, where are you going? I'm like, I'm out of here. And he just started laughing like, yeah, okay. I'm like, I guarantee you will not see me step foot in this locker room again. I cleaned out my locker, and literally like 2 weeks later, I was signing a deal in Detroit. So, yeah, man. I'm like, man, listen, I'm not about to take this hometown discount. I got to be able to pay these bills. I got kids. My wife and I, we got kids, man, that we got to put through school. So I had to get that bread.
What about you, Ryan? Did you have to get that bread too?
Belichick did let me test the market. And,
that worked out for you. Worked out. Got it.
Jalen, have fun tonight. This all access stuff you're doing is awesome. And then with two teams like the Thunder and the Sixers tonight, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for your time, man.
Thanks for the love, fun group. And Damien, you can buy a lot of rings on eBay. Always get the money. I agree.
The Ryen Russillo Show.
Jonathan Vilma approves. Damien Woody hanging as well. The Russillo Show on ESPN Radio. Want to remind you, we got you covered right here for bowl game action. Tune in for this game coming up tomorrow for the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. That's followed by the Gildan New Mexico Bowl and the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and the ESPN app. Vilma was trying to explain to me, Woody, that, okay, Pittsburgh, the way they seem to defend New England, Tom just mouth-watering, kickoff, I'm going to dice you guys up.
Yep.
Who knows? I mean, maybe teams get mad, things are inconsistent. But he was telling me, like, defensively, it's really hard for you to just become a different defense and implement all new things based on the matchup. So how would you see that offensively when you would notice, okay, something hasn't been working, and now they're going to try this completely different thing against some of the quarterbacks that you're playing with?
Well, I mean, a lot of teams have tendencies. That's why we do, like, 4-game breakdowns. And teams over that time, they kind of do the same, same type of things in down and distances. And Jonathan Vilma will tell you, like, 3rd down, 6+, they run these schemes and, so on and so forth. So when they start deviating off of that, then it's just like, okay.
Well, who was the most predictable? Like, who did you think was the most predictable on defense, and then you go offense?
Like coordinator? Scheme?
Yeah.
Team or scheme?
Give me team.
I would say scheme-wise, I would say like when Tony Dungy was playing, that Tampa 2, you knew what they were running every play, basically. They weren't changing. Like Tony Dungy, Herm, because they all came from that same school. They just played fast. What was that? They just depended on their front guys, get after the quarterback. It was literally rush the passer and play the run on the way. Right. That's when they had like Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice. They had like some ballers on the defensive line. And then
Booger was on that, wasn't he?
Yeah, Booger was on it. Yep, Booger was on it. So they had John Lynch at safety. All that type of stuff.
And Brooks was still, like, even though he was bigger, he was kind of like athletic enough to run around.
Brooks? He was never big.
Derek Brooks was small.
Brooks was my size.
Brooks is your small? Well, I see.
Yeah, Derek Brooks was like,
well, first I'm bigger than you. Let's be clear about that. So I'm not that small. So let's be very clear about that. I'm bigger than you. Second, Derek Brooks was my size. Yes.
Gosh, I don't know. I guess
Derek Brooks was like 220, 225.
When I see him now, though, is he?
No. He's not bigger. I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
He changed up his diet. I just thought he looked bigger now.
Everything about him and that defense was speed.
Okay, all right. So who do you think was predictable then?
no scheme was predictable. The quarterback that had the marquee player, like a Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, like a Tony Gonzalez when he was with Kansas City and Atlanta, or Antonio Gates, you knew on third down that's where he's going. That's his comfort zone. That's his outlet. So we would make sure that we would double that guy and then figure out where they're going to go with the ball after that. So it always take about, a quarter and a half if we're playing one of those teams and say, all right, look, we're going to double just on third down. We're doubling Tony, period. And then let's see where Matt Ryan goes with the ball. Now let's see what the coordinator does.
Because, listen, when you open up a game, most teams, especially offensively, you have like plays that are scripted. That 10, 15 plays are scripted.
Yep.
But as the game progresses,
you go back
and you always revert back to who you are.
That's right.
And if it's that matchup, the quarterback's going to look for his guy. And I think that's one reason it's hard to defend the Patriots, because they're from week to week, they morph into different things. They go one week, they could be feeding Brandon Cooks. Another week, they could be feeding, Gronk. Then they could be feeding the running backs out of the backfield. You just don't know from week to week how they're going to attack you.
I mentioned that Kevin Falk was my toughest cover.
Yeah.
Toughest cover, because he was a guy.
He was like Dion Lewis with Dion Lewis.
Exactly. You could put him in the slot. You run him out the back. He run every route out of the backfield, seam route included. Put him in the slot. And like you said, it can go 3 weeks where he wasn't the main focus. And then next thing you know, it's like, damn it. He's the guy today. He's the guy.
What was it like dealing with Vilma for you, Woody?
Speed, like he was he was athletic and very high football IQ. See, guys with high football IQ, they diagnose plays quick. So as an offensive lineman, you know that I can't get hung up in the trash. I got to get up there and get on this guy, because if I don't, then he's going to make every tackle. It's kind of like Luke Kuechly is like that. His football IQ is just through the roof, and he's able to diagnose plays and make the tackle, and the big uglies can't get to him.
Yeah, to that point, my mindset is I don't want to be with him.
He doesn't want to lean on. He doesn't want to lean on me all game.
Exactly.
That's playing to my advantage.
All right, did Vilma talk a lot?
Nah.
No, he wasn't like that.
What about Woody, Vilma?
Nah. See, because I told Ryan like way back, I said, you get the linemen, they always do a little extra after play and all that. I get that. I accept that. So I never really talked a lot of trash afterwards. First, I had too much to think about anyway. So my whole thing was make the play. All right, a little shove after the play, whatever. I got to figure out like the personnel down and distance. I'm not worried about that.
See, I talk trash like, if somebody comes at me, then it's on. It's on and popping. Then we're definitely yapping the whole game. But like, it does nothing to me. Like, talk to linebackers. Like, you're smaller than me. Like, I can crush you. Like me, I like talking trash to like the big guys.
That makes me feel
I like
so
talking
good.
trash to the big guys because I can get you and you can get me. That's just the competition of it.
I have to admit, just as a guy who watches, when I see the enormous guys get messed with like a slot receiver,
yes.
It has to infuriate the big guys so much.
Well,
what
the problem is? Here's the problem. It's always the little guys that start things, but they never finish. They do all the talking.
And somehow they always back out.
And then
once it gets going.
Once you watch it like on film or the TV copy, they're like in the back. But we're the big guys. We're the ones, slamming people, throwing punches, doing stuff like that. And they're the ones in the back just kind of watching like, look what I started.
All right, who you got? You got the Pats this weekend or Steelers?
Man, it's a close one, man. This is going to be a hell of a game, man. But I'm going to say the Patriots until the Steelers.
Why?
Steelers got to be able to crack the code. The one thing the Patriots do, they make you play left-handed.
Okay.
Traditionally.
So you think that they can stop Antonio Brown? Patriots can stop Antonio Brown.
I think they can slow him down enough.
And Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
It's a tall task.
I was going to say it is a tall task, but still, Patriots got the Steelers number.
I like them against Le'Veon more than most teams, even though I don't love their personnel on the front right now. But I remember talking with Brewski before the playoff game last year, and he was great at this.
Yeah,
and he was so animated, and we were behind the set at SportsCenter. I go, "What do you guys do with Le'Veon that's different?" He goes, "All week, Bill will be saying, don't let his patience and allow you to be impatient. So if you let him get a yard or two, tackle, wrap him up, done. But if we're tackling him 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, that's bad because that means we're all rushing out to go get him, and then we're going to be out of our assignments. He goes, that whole thing will be let him read off of him. Like, don't freak out.
Basically, build a wall.
Yeah,
just build a wall against him because he's going to be dancing back there, and the minute one person poke their head in the wrong gap, he's gone.
And I think the Pats, even though, again, not liking their personnel, they're better disciplined with that kind of stuff than most teams are. They just seem to do it week in, week out.
Are you taking the Steelers? You seem like you.
I am taking the Steelers. I am taking the Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers. I know. I hear all the 4-0. I get that, but the Steelers are very talented and can score literally from any position. That's when I look at when I'm like, all right, even if you stop one position, the running back, for example, they can still get off in the passing game or vice versa. So I think that they cracked the code.
Good stuff. Hey, you're awesome. Good to come back. All right. Thank you, Damien.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Ryen Russillo Show podcast. You can check out the show live weekdays at 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on ESPN News. The Ryen Russillo Show podcast.